Welcome back, investors, to Ticker Time News. I'm Adam, and the data analytics company of all data analytics companies, Palantir, took an unconventional path, purchasing $50.7 million in 100-ounce bars to prepare for another Black Swan event. The note was buried in its 93-page Q2 earnings report. But back to the gold. This brings up a few questions. With all of the data Palantir has, and Palantir itself meaning a crystal ball foreseeing the past and future, what future Black Swan event is Palantir preparing for where it would need millions of dollars in 100-ounce gold bars? We're going to dive into that exact question, starting with Palantir, going through a Black Swan event, and ending with should you, too, be investing in gold? Before we get started, smash the like button, share this video with your friends, and click subscribe to join our family of investors. Those three actions are greatly appreciated and help out our channel with YouTube's algorithm. So thank you, my friends, for doing that. Now, let's get started. Palantir is a name that means an indestructible ball of crystal used for communication to see events, whether past or future. It was created for the best-selling book, The Lord of the Rings, and popularized by the blockbuster movies of the same name. Those using the stone had to possess great strength of will and of mind to direct the stone's gaze to its full capability. This sounds a lot like today's data analytics company Palantir and their brilliant engineers, using data upon data upon data to gaze into a company and solve that company's most complex problems. Now, what complex problem could be on the horizon that Palantir is preparing for? What Black Swan event would require so much gold? Let's first start by defining what a Black Swan event is. A Black Swan is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences. Black Swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, severe impact, and the widespread insistence there were obvious signs in hindsight. An example of a recent Black Swan event that affected the financial market would be the 2008 financial crisis. No single factor led to the 2008 crisis, but an abundance of cheap, easy credit combined with a this time it's different mentality fueling the housing boom all contributed creating a Black Swan event. Red flags were fluttering all over the place, but few caught on at the time. Now, it's easy for us to see over a decade later. But it's one of the most maddening things about Black Swans. Hindsight is 2020. In reality, nobody really knows what causes a Black Swan event. But Black Swan events are something investors would be wise to study and understand simply to be prepared for the next one. And one way to be prepared is to hold wealth outside of the system. Think of gold or silver, for example. When you buy physical gold, you're holding that gold and its wealth outside of the system. This also brings to mind Bitcoin, sometimes referred to as digital gold. Bitcoin is considered decentralized and a store of value outside the system. Although most people end up right back in the system when selling their Bitcoin and transferring it to a fiat currency. Now, I believe that over time, Bitcoin will continue to be used as a store of value, and that there could be another crypto, like, for example, Cardano, that could be used more like a currency. That will keep your wealth outside of the system and help protect you as an investor from a black swan event. Now, Palantir has talked about buying Bitcoin for a while, but as far as we know, they have not bought any yet. However, a spokesperson for Palantir told Bloomberg that they do now accept Bitcoin as payment. Could Palantir's $50 million in gold bars be signaling that we're headed for another financial crisis? And that's why they bought wealth outside of the system? If so, it wouldn't be the inflation we're seeing alone right now, because that wouldn't be considered a black swan event. Although hyperinflation, like that of Zimbabwe in 2008, would definitely be a huge financial problem for the United States or the world. But gold as a hedge against inflation hasn't lived up to the hype if you look through historical data. So, what else could it be? Well, in a Bloomberg article by Jared Dillon, he said, quote, investors don't really have a handle on what gold is or what it represents. Gold is a hedge on government authorities making poor economic choices. Inflation is usually the result of those poor decisions. But people confuse cause and effect here. Gold is a hedge on policymakers screwing up, and there has been a lot of screwing up over the last 20 years. Gold has significantly outperformed stocks this century, gaining about 555% versus 79% for the All Country World Index of stocks and 146% for the S&P 500 index. This is a direct result of significantly looser financial conditions and no constraints on monetary or fiscal policy. From a financial perspective, the global economy is in a much worse place than 20 years ago, and there is no evidence that things are going to improve. So, with Palantir's huge amount of government data from the United States and its allies, has Palantir's Gotham platform, which is used for governments, predicted some future financial crisis? It's possible, even if it does sound like a sci-fi artificial intelligence movie. Palantir is a debt-free company with $2.3 billion in cash, and it's exploring creative ways to use that money. We know Palantir's investment strategy includes startups, SPACs, and possibly even Bitcoin. Investing in gold is seen as a way to hedge against negative events in the future, even black swan events. Look at what happened to gold during the black swan event of COVID in 2020. Gold spiked to over $2,000 an ounce for the first time ever in August of 2020, and now it's down about 8% so far this year to around $1,800 an ounce. With government spending seemingly out of control and the world possibly headed towards facing down another variant of COVID, hedging your bet and protecting your wealth with gold isn't a bad idea at all. Do you own physical gold? And if not, Are you considering it to hedge against another black swan event as Palantir is? Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.